and we don't know the harm that we do in having that negative conversation, and cussing out that person internally.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
It is the worst. And we think it's just
I never wished anyone dead.
it's just a rant. Well,
But there's so many people who just throw it around so easily. I'm like, why? Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself? I mean, to yourself and to others. Like, burn in hell. I'm like, what? By the way, remember, oh my goodness, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. Last time I saw you, there was a phrase that really caught my attention and got stuck as a nail in my head.
What was that?
The phrase was that, don't worry about the hell, we leave hell now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes,
And it's a very, very interesting statement, by the way. Because, come and think of it, if we are living hell, we live in hell and experience hell right now, then what do you think is heaven? Because for me, it's both here too then. Then
It is.
it's both
Everything is
have
right
to
here.
be here. Like in one interesting book that I'm constantly reading, there are words like hell, heaven with you, and without you, heaven, hell. But that particular chapter was about this mad story which current psychologists would call severe case of dependence, like psychological dependence, like someone wouldn't be able to be happy without another person. Whereas I think that's another very interesting aspect of happy relationship, freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta allow that person to be free, and if that person is free, they're free to choose to be with you or be with someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's such a big thing to swallow, but that's really something big. So anyway, when you said we leave hell now, why do you say that? Why do you think is that?
Well, the concept of hell and heaven derived from one of the more popular books of literature on the Bible. Talks about it as a place of condemnation and damnation for having sinned. And if we consider what sin is a Greek word, hamartia, Hamartia, which means you not only do you miss the mark, but you fall short. So it's not necessarily inclined to talk about your moral behavior of being a moral person, of doing the right thing or the wrong thing, but of achieving your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So when we sin, we're not achieving our goals, we're not fulfilling our desires.
Well, again, if you continue developing this thought, and as a human being, your goal is to grow spiritually to the level where you unite with universal greatness and reach the level of divine epiphanies and awakening, yes, then not reaching that level is a failure. That's when it is a sin. So anyone who's not growing is a sinner then.
Yes and no. It literally means just you're not fulfilling your desire.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be healthy and you're not healthy, you're sinning.
Mm-hmm.
You have not fulfilled your desire. is that you have missed the mark, and not only have you missed the mark, but you're fallen short. So another aspect of hell is damnation and condemnation and suffering. And who do you know right now on this planet that has
So
not
wait a second, suffering in the
Suffering.
future or suffering in present?
suffering present right now? Who is it that you know that is not suffering?
You know what? Everyone has their own curses.
Personal suffering.
I mean, I have one lady. I have one lady I could give you as an example. I mean, very interesting character. But they live like hermits, her and her husband, for 33 years in a happy marriage, away from the world, away from civilization, somewhere in the wild, I want to say Siberia forests, something like that. Anyway, in a very organic environment. They eat only raw vegetables. They very, very healthy. They are as organic, as natural as possible.
Sounds boring. Sorry.
Yes, when you will come and think of it,
For
oh my God.
palate, but that's
Exactly. It's for each individual definition of happiness
fine.
is their own. And she calls herself an absolutely happy person, and
A happy person.
happy. She's super happy. She's super happy. They both are very, very wise people. They wrote a few books, but she graduated from the faculty of philosophy. I think she has a degree in philosophy, and he has a degree also in some, maybe even in literature.
Yeah.
Yes. So they feed each other and feed off each other.
Yeah.
They are like not only like two vessels that are joint vessels. They definitely united to the point that they created their own little universe. They don't want interruption of outer world. No, they don't want to travel. She is like, well, thank God for internet, so she can see everything. And yes, virtual travels and all that. And but she claims that she's as happy as can be, as healthy as can be, and looking at her, she radiates that amazing happiness. And they're not very successful. I mean, right now they're picking up because they have bigger following, and she started broadcasting certain things, and she started sharing her ideas, and she has more and more followers. Her army is growing, and she shares her insights and stuff. But again, I can only sell you what I bought.
True that.
I don't know.
Or that you leased.
Exactly.
But I believe also that hell and heaven they're more states of being, as everything else is a state of being. If you're broke, it's a condition, it is a state of being, it is a concept that you have of yourself. If you're ill, it is a state of being as opposed to something that has happened to you. Hell is a state of being, a place of suffering, as it is heaven is a state of bliss.
Okay. Yeah. And it's inside.
Well, it is inside. Everything is inside.
Yeah. Would you agree that if heaven is inside, it comes from the heart, but hell is inside, comes from the mind?
I don't know that I can distinguish between heart and mind, except for energy-wise.
Oh, okay.
Except for what
Okay. How do you
chakras.
distinguish? How do you distinguish energy-wise?
Intensity, level of intensity. The heart chakra apparently is able to transmit at a more powerful and potent rate, if you will, than the mind, is what some people say, is what I've heard. Experientially, I can't attest to that because I'm just learning about that.
I'm learning. Me too. I'm constantly learning.
But when we say heaven is in our hearts,
But there is no such thing as mind chakra.
well, the head chakra, the
Third eye?
yeah,
Mhm.
or the the chakra that's
The crown?
the crown,
I wouldn't call
the
it
seat
a
of the
mind.
imagination, if you will.
Okay. Yeah.
How we talk about.
But it's
this
definite that
consciousness.
energy, that
Yeah.
every thought has an energy, and we are generators of energy. We are, all of us. We're like a little walking, not little, big
Yeah, we can generate
generators.
We can generate a little city. But is being willing and being open to a different conversation outside of what we would get in Sunday school or Sabbath school or in the mosque or whatever your teachings have been, if we're open to having a conversation about reality.
I'm so happy we're having this conversation.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
actually
Thank
an
you.
amazing
Thank
conversation.
you for inviting me over.
Thank you for coming over.
Yeah, man. And the figs and the pistachios
Oh,
and
pistachios.
the dates and the blueberries
And the cocktail.
and the lovely cocktail.
Yes, cheers to that.
Cheers, salud. Is if we are willing to have that conversation, we could expand, we could assuage some of our fears. I know there are many people in my immediate circle, not that many anymore because I don't have that much large an immediate circle,
Okay.
can have an open conversation because of fear. It interferes with their doctrine. It interferes with their
Tell me, doctrine, religious doctrine?
Yeah, their current belief system,
Okay.
which is usually steeped in either Christianity or Judaism
Right.
or Islam